Good morning, everyone. As Fair Trade Hong Kong is really a small organization, actually, I'm not going to do a lot of self-promotion here, saying how good we are, what we are good doing. But in the other way, I really want to take this chance, take this opportunity to discuss with you what actually is business sustainability. The first thing I would like to check, if any one of you read over 10 ESG report before, please raise your hand, except Carlos. I became pretty sure he read a lot of ESG report, but who else have read over 10? Okay, one here. So, who else have ever read a single ESG report? Okay, at least some understanding on the ESG report. Okay, before I really go into my speech, I have another question, another really simple story. Just want to check everyone's expectation or understanding. So, if a businessman selling cigarette make a lot of profit, and he is willing to donate a lot of money to the society, to the charity, do you think if his business is sustainable or not? If who think is sustainable, please raise your hand. Okay, no. That is actually a real story, and that's actually one of the very successful businessmen in Hong Kong. But why nowadays we doesn't think is kind of sustainability? So, first thing first, I really want to make it clear that business sustainability is not charity. We are not talking about how much corporate donate to the society, to the community. We are talking about the business model of itself, whether they operate the business in a sustainable way. So I wonder why, the ESG reporting requirement from Hong Kong Stock Exchange actually require the corporate to announce how much they donate. Here, on the right side is what I believe is business sustainability, and on the left side is the real case I find in ESG report. So this somehow showing that our ESG requirement right now at this moment is not really matching what we believe in business sustainability. Okay, so what we have to be done? The first one, so-called the SDG goal, is about low poverty. What is meant by low poverty? There is a really clear definition from UN saying that the absolute poverty line is actually everyone should income is lower than $1.25 US, and below that, that is absolute poverty. So you can't argue. Let's imagine if a business is paying their supplier less than this amount, is that sustainable? Let's check it. Oops. Here is one of the business nowadays actually still happening in the world. Over 70% of football is actually produced in one small city in Pakistan. And luckily, we have some listed company producing football here in Hong Kong. On the left side is what they mentioned in their ESG report. So you can read it one by one, but I'm not going to go through it. But clearly, it has not mentioned any measure which related to the supplier in their supply line for football making. It's perfectly legal for a Pakistan football producer. It's legal to earn that $0.5 US per ball. And just for give you more information, even for skilled labor, it still have to take 2 to 3 hours to produce one ball. So how many balls you can make a day? You can barely support yourself to achieve an income above the poverty line. Let's say you produce 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 football, then you earn above the poverty line. But what about if you have a family to support? Then very likely, if you are a football producer for a family, then your family is under the poverty line. Is our listed company working on it? I can't tell. I can't tell by the ESG report. Okay, the second one. Another SDG is zero hunger. What is mean by zero hunger? Go to study it, and UN mentioned about there are almost 800 million people still starving every day. They go to sleep in their empty stomach. They can't really afford their dinner. One of the reasons mentioned in the UN report is actually about one of the key reasons driving to hunger is actually environmental degradation. One of the reasons everyone knows that is climate change. Climate change has a lot of impact in different plantations, and one of it is coffee plantation. If the soil temperature goes up for 2 degrees Celsius, the harvest of coffee basically vanish. No coffee bean for the farmer. So how can they make a living? If our farmer, coffee bean farmer, is facing this kind of difficulties in their future, what have been doing for the coffee production company on our listed market? Lately, this is one of the latest company in Hong Kong going to the stock market being listed in something like April this year, KOO company. They are really one of the leading coffee retailers, wholesaler, and also producer in Hong Kong. But what I can only find in the ESG reports is something about quality production, product safety, and quality when they mention about coffee bean production. So is that an answer for solving the zero hunger SDG? The goal is zero hunger. Is that the right solution, or is that enough to tell whether the corporate is working on it? Obviously, you get the answer. One more SDG, reduce the inequality. So the figures UN provide is actually the richest 10 population or company is actually earning 40% of the global GDP. And the other figures I didn't mention here is actually the poorest 10% of the population in the world is actually earning 2 to 7% only in the world. One of the reasons also mentioned by the UN is actually about the finance institutes. Because actually, the UN provides a solution saying that if we want to solve this problem, we have to provide them with some really low-cost finance tools for the poor to develop. In that case, they can develop themselves in a really low cost, and that is the reason that is the way to close the gap. However, again, I can't find the solution from the ESG report from financial institutes. They only say they make loans, but not mention about the interest rate. And you can find the interest rate in Bangladesh is actually much higher than the interest rate we get here in Hong Kong. You can imagine Hong Kong, you buy a house, you make mortgage, it's only 5%, but they have 9% interest rate. So now is the advertising time. I'm going to somehow mention even a small organization like Fairtrade, what are we doing, try to solve that problem. You can find it here, 10% additional income for Bangladesh, for Pakistan football producer, and also we provide funding for coffee farmer for tree planting to lower the temperature of the soil. And lastly, we provide opportunity. We set up funding, accepting the individuals, women from Bangladesh to put in their pocket money into the funding and make loans to the community, and then they can become sort of mini bank themselves. They can try to close the income gap by being a loan maker instead of just borrowing from bank. So this is what we did, and we are really looking forward that some days maybe the ESG report, we can find similar answer in the listed company in Hong Kong to solve the SDG. So thank you very much.